about yourself as an economic hitman. Explain. Very briefly, though we have spoken before, for people who didn't hear that conversation, talk about your work as a consultant.
Well, we economic hitmen, basically, in the last 4 decades, have managed to create the world's first truly global empire. And I talk in detail in the book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, about this, and in various countries where we went in to create this first truly global empire. We've done it primarily without the military. The military comes in only as a last resort. We've done it through economics, and we've done it very, very subtly. So it's been a secret empire. Unlike all of history's previous empires, most Americans don't realize that we've created this empire. They don't realize what we've done in Latin America. And the way economic hitmen work, we use many different techniques, but probably the most typical is that we'll identify a company that has resources our corporations covet, like oil. We'll arrange a huge loan from an organization like the World Bank for that country, but the money won't go to that country at all. It goes to big U.S. corporations, Bechtel, Halliburton, ones we all hear about all the time, to build infrastructure projects in that country. These projects, like industrial parks and power plants, benefit the very rich of those countries and do nothing for the poor except to leave the country in a huge debt, one it can't possibly repay, which means it can't give social services, education, health to its poor, and is put in a position where it doesn't repay its debts. So at some point, we economic hitmen go back in and we say, look, you can't repay your debts, so give us a pound of flesh, sell oil to our oil companies real cheap, or vote with us at the next UN vote, or send troops in support of ours someplace in the world. And that's how we've created this empire. And we've done it without most Americans even realizing that it's happening.
And explain who you were working for.
Well, I was recruited by the National Security Agency, the agency that's getting so much attention right now because of spying on Americans, while I was still in college at Boston University. And the National Security Agency put me through a series of very extensive tests, including lie detector tests, personality tests. And I was in business school. They determined that I could be a good economic hitman. They also discovered a lot of weaknesses in my character. I like to think of them as kind of the 3 big drugs of our culture, money, power, and sex, that they could use as a hook to bring me in. So I was told from the very beginning by this amazing woman, Claudine, who's described in detail in the book, who was basically my trainer, that, look, you're going into a dirty business. Once you're in, you can never get out of this business, but we're going to make it very attractive for you to go into this business.
Now, you didn't join the NSA.
No, I never worked directly for the NSA. I worked for a company called Charles T. Main, big consulting firm out of Boston. And these days, almost all of this work is done by private contractors. It's not done directly by the CIA or the NSA. They may recruit us, but we work for private industry. The same is true of the jackals, Amy. If economic hitmen fail, which we don't usually do, but I did in Panama, for example, and I tell in detail in the book about how that ended up. But my failure ended up in a jackal going in and assassinating Omar Torrijos, the president of Panama. When economic hitmen fail, the jackals go in and either overthrow governments or assassinate leaders. And they, too, do not work directly for the government. These days, they're private contractors. The days of the government agent, the old 007 who's licensed to kill, are long gone.
When you say you failed, you mean what?
Well, I was sent into Panama to bring Omar Torrijos around, to bring him into our system. And he refused to do that. He said, look, I know if I play your game, he told me directly, if I play your game, I'll become very rich. But that's not what interests me. I want to help my poor people. And so he said, you can either get out of Panama or play the game my way. Well, we decided to stay and try to bring him around. He never would come around. And I knew all along that if I failed to bring this man around, something dire would happen to him. And you know, this is what's going on in Latin America right now. Evo Morales is being visited this week by an economic hitman who's going into his office and saying, well, congratulations.